joining us for this year's Police, Fire, and Recreation and Parks Black History Month celebration. I'm Tabitha Childress, Community Relations Specialist with the Winston-Salem Fire Department.
And I'm Kyra Boyd, Public Information Officer for the Winston-Salem Police Department. Each year, our city's public safety agencies, along with the Recreation and Parks Department, recognize the contributions that African Americans have made in Winston-Salem Fire and Police Departments. Today, we will recognize a few of our personnel, both retired and active, with Trailblazing Awards.
These honorees have dedicated many years of public service to the community, and it is an honor to celebrate them on this special occasion. Because of the efforts of these trailblazers, other African Americans are able to have successful careers in public safety.
Today, the Winston-Salem Police Department will recognize retired Lieutenants Delray Anthony and Kevin Sawyer.
The Winston-Salem Fire Department will recognize retired Assistant Chief Franklin L. Stowe Jr. and Deputy Fire Marshal Angela Sowell. In a moment, we will hear from some of our honorees, but first, some congratulatory words from our mayor and city officials.
Hello, I'm Alan Joines, Mayor of the City of Winston-Salem, and it's always my pleasure to be at this special event, although it's virtual this year, as we recognize Public Safety Black History Month here in Winston-Salem and recognize those individuals, men and women, who led the way for our public safety programs, fire and police and other programs. It's always my honor to issue a proclamation for this event, which I have done this year, and so let me read that to you now. Whereas, having united as one, we see the results of black men and women's advocacy for respect, dignity, and human rights. And whereas these efforts have advanced our common well-being, strengthened our communities, and the fabric of our entire nation and the world. And whereas we celebrate these men and women in our local community, in our nation, and throughout the world, who have advanced the rights of minorities and all humanity. And whereas we salute African American men and women who have paved the way for minorities to be entrusted with the Winston-Salem Police Department and Winston-Salem Fire Department's shields of honor, respect, and integrity. And whereas this February 2022 is the 9th annual Winston-Salem Police and Fire Department's Joint Public Safety Black History Month celebration. Now therefore I, J. Alan Joines, Mayor of the City of Winston-Salem, do hereby proclaim the month of February as Public Safety Black History Month in Winston-Salem, and I urge all of our citizens to take note of the wonderful contributions of our professional black firefighters and police officers in the past who have really paved the way for today's modern set of officers and firefighters. And I signed this today, the 20th day of February 2022. Thank you very much.
Each of us is commissioned to leave a legacy for our children and their children. Historically, African Americans have imparted family wisdom, life experiences, and family values by word of mouth, but that relies on in-person conversation. Today, we have convenient tools like cell phones and computers that record, document, and retain information and allows immediate access. Photographs and personal video recordings can be made and kept in a digital format, allowing great-grandchildren to see and hear from great-granny speaking about her life and its many twists and turns. Through the African American Heritage Initiative, the City of Winston-Salem wants photographs and recordings about African American life in Winston-Salem, the neighborhoods, churches, stores, schools, shopping, and entertainment that define the African American experiences, especially from 1920 through the 1990s. Every African American story is important to understand the challenges and blessings of being an African American in Winston-Salem, and no one can tell your story better than you. Please go to the City of Winston-Salem's website. That's cityofws.org/AAHI. That will get you to the African American Heritage Initiative page to learn about our digital database and how you can add photographs, documents, oral histories, and other items. Tell your story so it can be preserved for generations to come. African American contributions to this city must be told and included within every aspect of this city's history.
As we celebrate Black History Month, I thought of the quote, "Black history is American history." But I realized I didn't know who that quote was attributed to. It turns out that it was American actor Morgan Freeman. His full quote is, "I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history." I also found these words from my favorite poet and phenomenal woman, Maya Angelou, who said, "Won't it be wonderful when Black history and Native history and Jewish history and all of U.S. history is taught from one book, just U.S. history." Dr. Angelou understood the importance of Black History Month, but at the same time, she seems to be pointing out just how absurd it is that it isn't already part and parcel of U.S. history books and school curriculums, because it should be. We as a society need to stop whitewashing history and celebrate the contributions and greatness of every person and everything that make up our collective history, regardless of race, ethnicity, skin color, who that person worships, or who they love. So yes, let's celebrate Black History Month during February, but let's also remember that Black history is Winston-Salem history and American history every month of the year.
My name is Barbara Haynes Burke, council member for the Northeast Ward. It is important to celebrate Black History Month because it is important to know and celebrate the multifaceted contributions that Black people have made in this context and beyond its borders. It instills pride, hope, and a certainty of self in future generations. In the words of the late, great Maya Angelou, the more you know of your history, the more liberated you are.
Hello, this is Jeff McIntosh, City Council member of the Northwest Ward. I'd like to invite you to celebrate Black History Month along with me, the Mayor, and the rest of City Council. Every year, during the month of February, we celebrate the contribution and achievements of African Americans in the city of Winston-Salem and the country. Please join us in all of our celebrations here in the month of February for Black History Month.
I am Winston-Salem Chief of Police Katrina Thompson. We proudly observe Black History Month at the Police Department. We celebrate and honor the immeasurable contributions that African Americans have made in our society. We especially reflect on the African Americans in law enforcement who paved the way for people like me to ascend to the highest levels of law enforcement. Today, we honor two of our very own, retired Lieutenants Kevin Sawyer and Delray Anthony. Each of these men provided nearly 30 years of service to the city of Winston-Salem and the Winston-Salem Police Department. It is our honor to recognize them for their achievements.
Good afternoon. My name is William Penn Jr. and I'm one of the Assistant Chiefs for the Winston-Salem Police Department. It is my honor to be here today to help honor retired Lieutenant Kevin Sawyer, who's a 1983 graduate of West Forsyth High School. He's also a graduate of Gardner-Webb University, where he earned a bachelor's degree in social sciences. Lieutenant Sawyer valiantly served the Winston-Salem Police Department and the citizens of Winston-Salem and retired with 30 years of service that spanned from March 1990 to March 2018. Starting his career in March 1990 in the Patrol Division, he was transferred to the Motor Traffic Unit. Lieutenant Sawyer was promoted to the rank of Corporal in 1996, where he was assigned to the Criminal Investigation Division, serving in the Burglary and Homicide units. In 2009, he was promoted to the rank of Sergeant. While at this rank, he served with the Patrol Division, Criminal Investigations Division, School Resource Officers Unit, and the Professional Standards Division, known as Internal Affairs. In 2016, he was promoted to the rank of lieutenant and served in the patrol division until his retirement. During his years of service, Lieutenant Sawyer served as a mentor and leader to officers as well as in the community, and served as a deacon at his church, and he's been a noted speaker at numerous events at local public schools and colleges. Lieutenant Kevin Sawyer is a graduate of the Piedmont Leadership Academy as well as Leadership Winston-Salem, and holds the Advanced Law Enforcement Certificate from the North Carolina Justice Academy. Lieutenant Sawyer is married to his wife of 23 years, Mason, and they have 2 children, a son, Kieran, who's 21, and a daughter, Sydney, who's 18. We're privileged to have served with Lieutenant Sawyer.
I decided to become a police officer because I wanted to give back to the community that I was raised in. I'm a product of the foster care environment, and I felt like by me being a police officer, I could also be a servant of the community and also a protector of the community. I had opportunity to go to many different divisions within the police department, and the one that I remember most is working as a motorcycle officer. You didn't have many minorities on the motorcycle squad to my knowledge, and I was one of several, and I enjoyed that because I was able to ride the motorcycle, make a difference, go in different communities, and they would see a minority on the motorcycle, and that would always start a conversation piece as to what led to you becoming a motorcycle cop and so on and so forth. And that's when I would give them the story of my upbringing and so forth as to why I chose to be a law enforcement officer. My advice to anyone that has an interest in doing this job is to make sure that that's something they really want to do, not just something to say, okay, I want to carry a gun and have a badge on my chest. Go into this line of work as a person that wants to make a difference in the society that you live in, because like I say, everybody look at you differently now, and you just can't go in the community and say, okay, it's all about arresting people and taking them out of the community that they live in. It's all about, now you have to be a problem solver. So think along those lines. But my word of advice is to make sure that you're not coming into this environment for the wrong reasons. And also to live by the golden rule. You need to treat people the way you want to be treated. And that'll take you far in this line of work.
Good afternoon. I am W.S. Weaver II, Assistant Police Chief with the Winston-Salem Police Department. It is my honor this afternoon to be able to give the biography of Lieutenant Delray Anthony, retired. Lieutenant Anthony is a resident of Winston-Salem. He's been married to his wife, Sharon, for 32 years, and they have 3 children, Delray II, Brandon, and Brianna. They also have 3 grandchildren, Isaiah, Delray III, and Andrea Rose. Lieutenant Anthony is a member of United Metropolitan Missionary Baptist Church, where he serves on the security ministry. He is also a graduate of East Forsyth High School, where he continued his education by attending Elon College, now Elon University, after his time at East Forsyth. He earned his Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration with a concentration in personnel management. Lieutenant Anthony was commissioned as a 2nd lieutenant in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers after graduating from Elon University. After completing his initial military obligation, he joined the 30th Engineer Brigade of the North Carolina National Guard. Lieutenant Anthony went on to serve an additional 17 years, and he retired from the North Carolina National Guard in 2007 at the rank of Major. Lieutenant Anthony joined the Winston-Salem Police Department in 1991, where he was voted Basic Law Enforcement Class President of Class 29. After a brief stint in the Patrol Division, he was transferred to the 200 Sector Foot Patrol, which now is called the Street Crimes Unit. While on the 200 Sector Foot Patrol Unit, Lieutenant Anthony was selected as the Public Safety Officer of the Year for his work with the children living in the Cleveland Avenue Homes development. During his time, he was also promoted to the rank of Senior Police Officer, and he was transferred back into the Patrol Division. While in the Patrol Division, Lieutenant Anthony was transferred to the Juvenile Crimes Section as a detective in the Criminal Investigations Division. While assigned to the Juvenile Section, he obtained his North Carolina Basic Law Enforcement Training Teaching Certificate. This allowed him to instruct training in our Winston-Salem Police Department basic law enforcement training. After that assignment, he was transferred back to the Patrol Division, and in 2005, Lieutenant Anthony was mobilized to serve in the Iraq War. Upon returning from his deployment, he was assigned back to the Criminal Investigations Division as a fraud detective, and while serving in that role, he was sworn in as a special agent to the Greater Greensboro Task Force. As a member of that unit, he worked with the United States Secret Service as an investigator in the financial crimes within the Triad area of North Carolina. Lieutenant Anthony was promoted to the rank of sergeant, was assigned to the Patrol Division. He was served as a squad supervisor for the east side of Winston-Salem. After several years as a patrol squad supervisor, Lieutenant Anthony was transferred from Patrol Division to the Professional Standards Division, better known as Internal Affairs. He was then promoted to the rank of lieutenant, and after doing a stint in the Patrol Division as a patrol lieutenant in District 2, he was also assigned to District 3 as a day shift supervisor, and there he served in that capacity until his retirement in June of 2018. In addition to his professional duties and responsibilities, Lieutenant Anthony serves as the official Winston-Salem Police Department's Special Events Chef. He caters to in the spring and the fall employee appreciation cookouts, and he continues to do that throughout his retirement. He also has a love for classic and muscle cars, and he has a need for speed. He also enjoys a variety of sports and spending time with his family. Thank you so very much for honoring us today. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
I guess I never really planned to be a police officer, but my mother worked at an organization called ESR, Experiment in Self-Reliance, and I saw her work in the community and how she helped people. And after college and after the military, I came back and we talked, and I advised her that I was considering being a police officer. Initially, she was against the idea, but after I explained some of my reasons why I wanted to do it, to get more people that looked like the community on the force, she was good with it. Probably going back to foot patrol days with Sergeant Harrison, working with the kids in Cleveland, and we saw their needs, and we kind of served a dual role where we were still there to enforce the law, but we were there to also try to bridge that gap between the police department and the community, and that was very memorable. We were able to take the kids on several trips and expose them to some different organizations and some different things that they probably would not have been able to experience, and I found that very satisfying and very rewarding. Should you decide to be a police officer, remember that being a police officer is your job, it's not your life. Get some hobbies so you can separate yourself from the job. Pray about it. If you're married, make sure you consult with your wife and let her know that it's going to be some long days and it's going to be some stressful situations. And law enforcement is a great job. It's very rewarding. It can be satisfying, but it also comes with a lot of stress. So should anybody decide to pursue this profession, just buckle up, because it's a ride.
I'm Trey Mayo. I'm the fire chief for the city of Winston-Salem. African Americans have a long history with the Winston-Salem Fire Department. With names like the Red Hot Hose Reel Company, there are records of black fire companies at least as far back as the late 1800s. The Winston Fire Department played host to the North Carolina Colored Volunteer Firemen's Association conventions at least 3 times between 1897 and 1910. In 1913, the merger of Winston and Salem created the Winston-Salem Fire Department, and the black volunteer fire companies, along with their white counterparts, were dissolved around 1923. For 28 years, African Americans were absent from the fire department until 8 men were hired in March of 1951. Those men were Raphael Black, Willie Carter, Lester Irvin, John Henry Ford, Robert Greer, John Meredith, George Penn, and John Thomas. Unfortunately, we recently lost Willie, as we knew him, Chick Carter, last month at the age of 95, and only Robert Greer now survives from that original group from 1951. These 8 men integrated the first career fire station in the state, and Lester Irvin would go on to be the first black career fire chief in the state. Today, we honor 2 individuals for whom the door was opened over 70 years ago. It is my privilege to have worked with Assistant Chief of Safety Training and Special Operations Frank Stowe and Deputy Fire Marshal Angela Sowell, who will be further recognized by Interim Assistant Chiefs Sharice Moore and Darrell Sawyer. Congratulations to Chief Stowe and Deputy Fire Marshal Sowell for this well-deserved recognition.
Hello, I'm Darrell Sawyer, Interim Assistant Chief with the Winston-Salem Fire Department. It is my pleasure to introduce honoree, retired Assistant Fire Chief Franklin L. Stowe, Jr. He devoted 34 years of committed service to the Winston-Salem Fire Department. He is a proud alumnus of Winston-Salem State University and a member of the Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. For some, attainment of a job would be accumulation of effort and income. For Chief Stowe, employment with the fire department was just the beginning of a lifetime of serving with humility and excellence. He met every challenge with passion and perseverance. His desire to impact and mentor others led him to the position of Assistant Chief in the training branch. In this capacity, he managed recruitment and training for the department. He prioritized diversity and inclusion. He was a champion for firefighters' mental health and wellness. We proudly salute retired Assistant Chief Frank L. Stowe, Jr. today and every day.
The decision to become a firefighter happened through a newspaper article. I was working for a retail grocery store, Winn-Dixie back then, and they had an article in the paper where they were hiring firefighters in the city of Winston-Salem. So I looked at it, I said, well, I don't know if I want to be in grocery retail all my life, so let me take a look at this to see if this is something I might want to do. And so I applied and I was hired, and that was one of the best moves that I ever made. My story is that I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, and that I, to this day, at the age of 62, I don't know my father, never met my father. And the greatest thing I must say is that I've had the ability to be an example to young people, especially young black males who seem to grow up in a lot of my same situation, not to take anything away from the females, but they seem to grow up in a lot of my situation, but to show them that if they work hard, get their education, and believe that they can achieve high goals in life. So come in prepared to work. Come in prepared to educate yourself with every opportunity that you get. Always keep training in mind, because the fire service is always growing, it's always changing. So you must be training all the time. It is a great career, it's very satisfying. You have a chance to really be an example to the public. You have a chance to help the public. And if you're that type of person that you want to help people, then this would be a career for you, but you have to give it a chance to work.
Hello, I'm Interim Assistant Chief Sharice Moore with the Winston-Salem Fire Department. It is my pleasure to introduce honoree Deputy Fire Marshal Angela Sowell. She has devoted 30 years of committed service to the Winston-Salem Fire Department. She is a proud alumnus of Winston-Salem State University. We honor her ceiling-shattering achievements. Deputy Fire Marshal Angela Sowell was the first black woman to be voted Firefighter of the Year by her peers. She was the first black female fire investigator with the Winston-Salem Fire Department. She was the first black female deputy fire marshal with the Winston-Salem Fire Department. As of March 2022, she will be the first black female to retire with years of service. We salute Deputy Fire Marshal Angela Sowell today and every day.
Believe it or not, it started as a dare and someone saying I could not do it. And I wanted to prove that individual wrong. So I put in my application to become a firefighter. And at that point, I met several role models doing the ability test. And at that time, the chief was Otis Cooper, but the deputy fire chief was John Giss, and the assistant chief was John Lucas. And those individuals talked to me and said, you could do it. Don't allow, everyone completely to discourage you. Just go for it. And know that there's nothing that you can't do, so go out there and make me proud. And that's what I did. And the rest is history. Well, every aspect of my career is memorable because you're going to experience good, bad, and indifferent. And at that time, you're going to learn something, and you're going to move forward and show exactly what you're capable of doing. But the most memorable thing for me to say is that I see young ladies who look like me, have the desire of moving in different entities, whether it's fire, police, or being a pilot. I just want them to know that it's important for them to just reach for it because it's at their fingertips. Being a African American female firefighter, I have a lot of firsts, and I am the first African American female to actually be chosen as firefighter of the year amongst her peers. And to say that is a great deal because your peers are choosing you as that role. I am the very first African female to be the fire investigator. I am the first African American female to be the deputy fire marshal. And to top it off, I am the very first female to retire with years of service. Be yourself, because it's really not about yourself, it's about the passion that you have to help the community. So the reality is that you will see people in their worst moments, but you showing them your compassion that you are there for service will speak for itself.
As we mentioned earlier, the Recreation and Parks Department also participates in our program. Please welcome District Recreation Supervisor Gary Lash to tell you more.
Greetings. My name is Gary Lash with the Winston-Salem Recreation and Parks Department. Each year, in conjunction with the Winston-Salem Police Department and Fire Department Public Safety Black History Month event, we do a creative arts portion of the show. So this year, I would like to present a montage of the creative arts that were done by the children from the recreation centers.
Michael Jordan, George Washington Carver, Barack Obama, of course, Oprah Winfrey, Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass. My name is Demetrius Williams, and Black History Month means that the African Americans put their life in danger so that we don't have to go through the stuff that they went through, and so that we can have a better life.
I'd like to say thank you to all the children that participated this year in the event. Your art was wonderful, and we appreciate all the things that you have done for us and the things that you do and bring to our recreation centers. Enjoy your Black History Month.
We want to thank our mayor and city officials, as well as our fire department and police department personnel for participating in this virtual celebration.
We hope that you have learned something about the immeasurable contributions that African Americans have made in Winston-Salem. This concludes our virtual Public Safety Black History Month celebration. Hopefully next year, you will be able to join us for this celebration in person. In the meantime, you can follow the City of Winston-Salem on social media at City of Winston-Salem.
You can follow the fire department
at City of WS Fire and the police department
at City of WS Police.
Thank you for joining us.